Aloha, welcome, happy Aloha Friday, gang. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late, mainly because someone was over on another channel. I don't know how many of you guys, okay, there you go. How many of you guys ever go to Tira's channel? But she has been posting over on her channel. She has been homeless for the last, couple weeks, months, and she just got an apartment and was coming online to talk to everyone. She's done such an amazing, I'll have to post her link during Cantina for y'all. She's done an amazing job posting about what it's like being homeless, okay, and all the different things. Just amazing, amazing. I mean, she was someone I loved watching before that happened, and with everything going on, I'm proud of that girl. Proud of that girl and how she's approached everything that was going on, because it's a rough time. We're going into a mental health discussion right here now, and that is a rough time to have to go through, and she did such an amazing job. So she'll be moving into her apartment pretty soon. But I was over on her channel because she was live, and all of a sudden I looked down at my clock and I'm like, oh shoot, it's 4 o'clock. Oh my God, I'm running late. No. So it's all her fault. It's not my fault. No, it's all her fault. So how are y'all? I see a couple people. Good old YouTube's getting the notes out to everyone. Oh my gosh, this dog wants to be hand fed. I try to give her a whole one. She's like, no, hand feed me little piece by little piece. Here you go, Pierre. You can have a whole one. How's that? And you can have a whole one, because I know these two dogs will eat a whole treat and they'll leave me to feed the spoiled brat. And also, how do we got everyone? I know Butterfly Kisses was first on in chat today. Hope you're doing good, my dear. We were talking earlier today, so I hope you are doing good. And I know it's getting late for some people, so hopefully you guys all have a great night's sleep tonight and all. So other than that, let's see, we got Here She Goes. How you doing, my dear? And are you ready for the weekend? I got a game day this weekend, and I so can't. I haven't had a game day in, gosh, probably 2 months or so. So I so can't. I'm so excited about that one. And there's my Crystal. Crystal was willing to help me research today and all that. She's amazing, amazing person. And hopefully we will have, by the way, we will be having Cantina after our live tonight, 6 o'clock my time, midnight on the mainland, well, East Coast. Who else? We got PJ. Hello, PJ. What? You want more treats? Is that it? Okay. Hello, PJ. How you doing? I saw you had a members only, and I missed it. Sorry. I'll get the next one. Yeah, I was researching for this subject today. Was actually suggested to me by DC. Okay, the Divergent Collective. And I'll be honest, initially I was a little nervous about it, but the more I researched it, the more I was like, oh, sheesh, this is a good subject. And there is Miss Jill. Hello, 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 Miss Jill. I hope you're doing good. And also, here we go. We got our purple hearts in the chat. Yes, I love it. So let me switch us over to my banners so we can get ourselves moving forward on this. And as people come in, I'll keep saying hi. But I know today's, oh my God, would you guys stop playing games? Yeah, please. Oh, I wish you guys could see the faces I get from these dogs. I'll all of a sudden say something to Ridley, and he looks up at me like, hi, I'm a cute puppy. Look at me. I'm a cute little puppy. Don't you just want to hug me and love me and care for me? Yes, I do. He is so cute. So, and he knows it. So, you're doing well? Yay, Jill. I'm happy you're doing good. I'm happy you're doing good. So, what I was mentioning is that this subject that we're going to talk about today is actually something until a couple weeks ago when DC mentioned it to me, I had never heard of the idea of emotional sobriety. In fact, when he came to me, I miss you too, Jill. I'm so happy you popped in. I need to get back into visiting lives again. I've been so out of it and disconnected the last few weeks and all. So I'm going to be working my way back into lives for sure. Hey, Butterfly Kisses. So yeah, the first time that DC brought it up to me, I will be honest, it was on a live, and I didn't want to sound like someone who didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So I was like, Oh, yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, that sounds great. And I'm madly researching behind the scene. Oh, that's what that is. Okay, I definitely can't talk on that one yet. So I had to do a lot of kind of researching into this to get a better idea of what it was. Um, and initially, when I started looking at the idea of emotional sobriety, the first thing that pops out of it is a connection to addictions. And I know there's a lot of people in the community that have addictions. Some of them are drugs, alcohol, things like that. There's other addictions. There's addictions to food. There's addictions to YouTube. There's tons of different addictions out there that we can be talking about. But a lot of times our mind initially goes straight towards alcohol, drugs, and stuff like that. Crystal, yeah, still don't get it really. And I'm hoping this will help everyone kind of clear up what it's about, because honestly, at first I was like, okay, well, this might be a subject that I'm doing more towards those in the addiction community. But then as I started researching further and looking at more information, I started realizing, no. Yeah, it may originate out of the addiction community, but it's definitely more, it is, as the title says, emotional sobriety for everyone. Okay, there are things that all of us, I'm going to talk about it from the addiction point of view and the actually trauma point of view. And as we go through this, you'll kind of get that idea. So let me ask you guys real quickly. I know we have a couple of you guys in here right now. This is always a fun time of day. Let's see if we can get a little bit of audience participation, chat room participation. When I mention emotional sobriety, what are the first things that come into your mind? Type them into chat real quickly. What are some of the words that pop up in your mind? What are the thought processes? If you know about it versus you don't know about it, I'd love to see what you guys, because I know me, the first thing that came to my mind, I saw the word sobriety and immediately addiction. Okay, you hear the word sobriety and your mind goes straight there. There's my Rosalie. I love you, Rosalie. And yes, we're going to talk about domestication at some point today, too. And after all, what would a mental health line be without domestication being mentioned? So I love you, my dear. Alcohol, PJ, getting clean. Awesome. So we're talking alcohol addictions. Butterfly kisses, how well you are at being in tune with your emotions. That's a good one. That's really well put together there. Good one. And Jill, yeah, getting clean, alcohol, PJ, yeah, some really great. And that's kind of where I was going initially. I was like, okay, because I think addictions are something I initially tend to say, oh, that's not me. I don't have it and all. But I think a lot of people we think of addictions as a very narrow thing, and we forget about all the other ways that people can be addicted. I'll be honest. There's times I think I'm addicted to YouTube. Hands down. Easy to say that. Okay, when you go on vacation and you're like, ooh, what's going on? Oh my gosh, what's going on? I got to go check that out. And things like, yeah, okay, there's some level of things. And I also know, okay, we talk about people who come from high risks for addictions based off of genes, things like that. You're always watching stuff like that. So let me pull us back over here real quickly and highlight that. And so basically emotional sobriety, what it comes down to is this. Okay, being comfortable. Okay, being present with all of your feelings without any one of those defining or controlling you. Okay, I'm not sure about you guys. Okay, like I said, it does come out of the addiction world. Okay, AA, things like that. Rosalind says, from my point of view, it goes along with emotional maturity, mindfulness. Yes, very, very true right there. So the idea that when a person is dealing with emotions, okay, there can come times that for many of us, we feel that the emotions take over, okay, or you don't feel comfortable with the emotions that are coming out. And that's where emotional sobriety comes in. Okay. Can you be comfortable existing with the emotions that you're going through? Okay. Can you exist and be there with your emotions without the emotion running off with you? For example, if you start getting angry at someone, does it, say you're out on the road, okay, and some person pulls in front of you, okay, do you just get mad real quickly and say, oh, what a freaking asshole that was, okay, and make a comment? Or do you go all the way to road rage type thing? Okay, does the emotion control you at that point? Can you, okay, if you start getting fearful or things like, Siren, love you, my dear, do the emotions at that point run ahead of you? Okay, do you become the emotion rather than you feel the emotion? If there's fear going on in your life, things like that, what's going on with it? So that's when we talk about emotional sobriety, that's what we're talking about. Rosalind kind of hit a good point on that. It kind of goes along with emotional maturity. And I think one of the things we're going to address when we go through this is there are many people, for example, okay, if you don't handle emotional maturity real well, emotional intelligence, things like that, and you may find yourself struggling when it comes to emotional sobriety. Okay, having all these emotions going all over the place because you never learned how to handle the emotions to begin with, how to be healthy with the emotions. And so what I wanted to do is look at that link. Okay, like I said, okay, to be able to handle the emotions and how that's related to addiction. We're going to start with addiction, okay? And from there, you're going to start seeing some other connections. And the reason why I say it's actually for everyone, okay, it's something that all of us can learn from. It's very common for people with addiction disorders, substance use disorders, yes, emotional intelligence. Yes, Rosalind, I only know it because I just read it. So I always forget that word too. I'm like intelligent, EQ, yeah, all that. So it's very common for people with addiction disorders, substance use disorders, things like that, to turn to other things to self-medicate. That's a lot of times why they're utilizing, okay, the alcohol or the drug or something like that, is there's an emotion going on in their life that they're having problems working through. Okay, whether it be a fear, whether it be anger, whether it be sadness. Okay, I mean, I told you guys last week, I watched the movie, well, 2 weeks ago I watched it, The Whale, with Brendan Fraser. And here was an example of someone not drug or alcohol, but he had had an issue where his significant other, his boyfriend, passed away. And he had to handle that. And how did he handle it? He handled it with food. And he got bigger and bigger. And so many times addictions are coming from that. We'll do Siren real quickly. And let's see. Here she goes. Says, I am an emotional person. I've wired really hard to not be, you've worked really hard to not be hot or cold. You're now warm. But that's the thing. It's so, I've even had to work on that because I tend to do that myself, not publicly. That is amazing, Siren. I'm happy, really happy. I'm very, very happy, actually. So very happy. Hey, no problem, butterfly kisses. Yeah, Goldilocks zone. There we go. Hot or cold. Okay, do you want the bed soft or what? No, okay. So a lot of times we find ourselves trying to find that middle ground, okay? And when you can't handle the emotions you go to the addiction. Okay, so now as you notice here in the banner that's scrolling, I put people who are dealing with addiction disorders, but what about trauma? Could we throw trauma in here? And that's where, hell yeah. Okay, if someone has gone through trauma in their life, especially as a child, Okay, but any type of trauma, it can affect with our ability to regulate those emotions or know how to handle them. That's why so many people who have gone through a trauma resort to addictions. Okay, it's not necessarily, okay, that, oh yeah, they started drinking and it just progressed to wherever it did. Well, they may have started the drinking because they were trying to deal with the trauma that just occurred to them. Okay, we look at that with PTSD, things like that all the time. So, what are some of the traits of someone who struggles with emotions? Because it's important for us, if we're going to look at being, okay, emotionally sober, we need to understand the traits of someone, okay, who may be struggling with them. PJ said self-medicating stinks. You drink for a shorter period. Yep, with PTSD. And I think that's something anyone, here she goes, same thing. Yeah, anyone who's dealt with any type of trauma, we realize we self-medicate in other ways. Okay, whether it be something actively like drinking, okay, alcohol, this is coffee, but alcohol, okay, drugs, sex. Sex is definitely one that happens at times. Self-harm. Okay, self-harm actually becomes one of those addictions. There's a lot of different addictions. And sorry, guys, I know y'all, no need to say, there's a trigger warning. Well, there's always a need to say. Please always remember, trigger warning on these Friday discussions. And please take care of yourselves. But it's important for us to realize that that goes hand in hand. So one of the first traits that we have to, you have 9 months. Wow. Wow. Great. Okay. Take care of yourself. Yeah, taking care of yourself. Those of you in chat who are taking care of yourself. Awesome. Awesome. Keep it up. And so one of the traits that we often deal with is certain people, those people especially who have issues with emotional sobriety, they have trouble regulating the intense emotions. Okay. You see people who just really have a, we all know them in life, okay? They could be someone you know face to face. It could be someone you see on YouTube, okay, who truly, they swing massively from one side to the other so quickly. And it could be other things. Oh, no problem, no problem. I wanted to make sure I was reading the right stuff, and that's amazing. That is really amazing, Butterfly. Awesome. And I always just want to check and make sure I'm reading the right thing, and also thank you. And congratulations. So we see these people who maybe you're talking with them and something has happened and they start off with just being angry. And you see them just ramping up and ramping up and ramping up to the point where they are not in control of the emotion anymore. So they just can't regulate those emotions. Kind of in a way, those of you who have young children or have ever been around young children, say a 3-year-old or something, okay, that just has that trouble regulating those emotions, that's something that as parents you teach your child how to regulate those emotions, how to deal with those emotions. Well, in a lot of cases, especially in the cases where there is childhood PTSD or something like that, you were never taught those things. So you have a hard time regulating them. Okay, so let's take it another thing, okay? Time for you guys, let's exercise the fingers in chat. And can you guys list for me what are some of the emotions or types of situations that you find people tend to get out of control easily with? What are some of these intense emotions? Okay, type them in chat and let's see what we pop up with. Okay, I know I've mentioned a couple of them already. Okay, so I'm sure some of you guys might actually copy some of them out. Go for it. And Rosalind saying you can watch a toddler go through the emotional scale up, and exactly. And so that's one reason why I brought up children, because you can actually see them do what it is that we're talking about. Okay, with people who are working and need to work towards emotional sobriety. So Christola is saying grief. Yes. Anxiety. Anxiety is a huge one. Okay. Anxiety many times will come out of fear. things like that, where all of a sudden you start and it ramps up and it ramps up and you find yourself going down that little rabbit hole of emotions and intense emotions and yeah. Butterfly kisses, arguments, yes, anger, being upset, okay, grief, yeah, being just upset, that feeling. PJ, congrats, 14 years, oh my God, 14, that's amazing, girl. That's, I mean, I give it to people who are able to pull that together. It's so awesome, awesome, my dear. You reacted, yeah, I react very easily myself. The problem is I don't react easily out here. I react easily in here, and that's my problem. Or if I'm with my friends and family here at home, oh, I can react pretty quickly. At home especially, yeah, it's not good at times. Family emotions, yes. When you're around certain people, those emotions become even more intense than they normally would be. Butterfly kisses suggests coworker disagreements. Definitely coworker disagreements because of so many different things that are going on with that. The feeling of being judged, things like that. Let me switch back over here to this. So some of the ones I was trying to come up with, okay, and you're going to see some of yours I actually mentioned here. I hold it together pretty good sometimes. Oh, okay, Rosling, example of emotional skill. Yes, awesome. Please take a look at what Rosling is sending you right there, because that I'm actually going to real quickly pull that up so I have that to show you, okay, later. Perfect. I got it pulled up before I forgot about it. So, Siren, I keep my emotions nice and repressed where they can't hurt anybody. Then when something goes wrong, they explode like a volcano. It's natural. Yeah, that's me. That's me totally. That is totally me. I build it up and then when they blow, and I've had that happen recently where something happened and it sent me down I had no control over emotions when that happened. And that's one reason why I try to keep it private at that time, because I will go way, yeah. So some of the things that I was thinking about, anger, okay, injustice. How many of you find or have seen people who, where injustice, the thought of someone not being treated fairly or something just sends you straight, you go from 1 to 10 real quickly. Okay, fear. Okay, especially if it comes from a CPTSD background or something. Okay, fears, being overlooked, especially if you're from a place where you want to be seen and you've never really been seen and you're fighting for it and people don't see it. Yeah, you might find yourself doing that. Being singled out, being criticized. Okay, being criticized can be one of those things that sends people really quickly on that level. Being rejected, shame. Shame is one of those things, especially with shame, because for a lot of people, you don't understand why you're getting the emotion, and even recognizing that emotion that is tied in with shame becomes a problem. Crystal, oh yeah, especially when it comes to innocent kids, yeah. Children, yeah, injustice, innocent, and I think that's why so many of us grab onto that. And because it's somewhere where we can make a difference, where we feel very strongly. And but you can also see people who, because of emotional sobriety or not being emotionally sober, they jump very, very quickly. Injustice, we see people who, okay, a vigilante, for example. Okay, vigilante would be a perfect example of someone who is not emotionally sober. Someone who is seeing injustice or something and decides they are going to take care of everything themselves, even if it's doing it in a way they should not be doing it. And so, intense. Okay, this is where Rosalind actually mentioned a really good point. Okay, about how children, in fact, let me see if I can find where she said that here, because it was a great point when she brought it up. Let's see. Of course, here we go. You can watch a toddler go through the emotional scale. Up, down, okay, that whole thing. And that's something for us to take a look at, because in all of us, there is a way we go through emotions. But when you're dealing with this type of overreaction, these intense emotions often lead us from the point where we feel the emotion to a period of kind of dysregulation, okay, where everything is just way out of scale, and we're overreacting, and we get worse and worse and worse. Okay, I used to use the word spiraling. Okay, because that's what it felt like for me. When I would get to that, I'd feel like I'm spiraling, and the emotions were like a tornado or something going on within me, and I just couldn't get on top of them and put a stop to it all because it was just everywhere. And so you get to that point where you're dysregulating, your mind is all over the place, and then you're followed by a time where things start to calm down. And you start learning how to, okay, you start being like, okay, we're good, we're okay, we're nice. Hey, JP, hope you're doing good, my dear. And yeah, and see, that's it. Those are ways that you deal with things too, is, okay, do you find ways of working through emotions through things like writing songs, writing in your, okay, doing meditation, writing in your journal, things like that. Let me see. Interesting. And also a lot of times, okay, we will find ourselves acting out, okay, in a very impulsive, even dangerous way, okay, when we're faced with an emotionally challenging situation. So say you are in a really, you've had issues in the past, okay, sorry, K-Mash, thank you. I posted a link, okay, for Carrie Russell in the comment section. Oh, okay. I will take a look at that, K-Mash, right after this live. In fact, I'll go, thank you for posting that there so that I have a name to go take a look at. Thank you. I'll take a look at that later for sure. And also, in a case where, oh, you got another one you found, Rosalind. Let's see what that one's looking like. So, oh, actually, okay, I'm going to bring this up. It's a little outside of what I have, but I like this actually. So so what Rosalind just shared with us, and I'm going to bring this up right now, is kind of a 7-level emotional scale, okay, on how much energy, okay, that feeling of intense emotion things are. Okay, with 0 being that kind of calm, normal place that we can be, to +3 or -3, whether it's a positive or a negative emotion. See, that's why some people will say it is something that is, oh, okay, got it. Sometimes we get into this thing where we think intense emotions have to be negative. No, intense emotions can be positive also. And so with the +3, okay, or -3, you're talking about very intense things. So where 0 could be just something I'm very satisfied, stillness, content, you're just kind of that, you're there in life. Okay, you can go in either direction to the point where on a +3 level, you're talking passion, you know, that feeling when you've just fallen in love and everything is there. Okay, and that's why a lot of times when you talk to people who've done like AA or NA or something like that, a 12-step program, a lot of times they will sit there and say, no, you don't want to get into a relationship when you're in the middle of getting sober. And part of the reason for that is this emotional scale, because the more intense the emotion is, the more chance that you can find yourself going down into these areas where your emotions are all over the place. And love you, JP. Take care, my dear. Take care, my dear. And so thank you for sending that. I'm actually going to share those 2 links over in Discord, and I do know that Christola has been sharing the Discord, so I will make sure to share those there. Let's see, here we go. So one of the things a lot of people who are struggling with emotions often do is they struggle to maintain those intimate connections with others. Okay, I don't know about you, but it can be hard when you're in connection with, think of someone that you know that's had issues with emotions being all over the place and all that. You try to have that relationship with them, and they're all over the place, and it takes a lot of energy. So on both sides, you really have problem where seeing eye to eye takes a lot of energy. So you might find that a person who is struggling with their emotions has a really hard time maintaining an intimate connection with someone else just because of that. So if you're finding yourself at times running into problems where you can't quite keep friends for long periods of time or things, those are the kind of questions that you start questioning in your own head. Okay, is there something that might be going on with this, okay, that I need to recognize about myself? There might be, there may not be, but those are the questions that you ask yourself. Another trait is just being very rigid, unable to roll with the punches. Something happens, okay, you're driving down the highway and someone cuts in front of you, okay, and almost causes an accident. And you blow up right away. Or things happen, okay, one of the worst that would happen to me all the time is because I was I had to have control and stuff like that. So if I had a plan and all of a sudden the plans changed, oh my gosh, okay, I could not roll with it. Okay, if there was an obstacle, it was hard for me to step past that obstacle. And so if you find yourself with that, or maybe you just find yourself with a pessimistic view. Okay, maybe you're just kind of like, the world's just kind of shitty. And you're in a place that you just can't see it in a better way. Okay, not that everyone's going to hit all these. In fact, I'll be honest, I usually don't have a pessimistic view. Okay, but some of these others do hit me. And so now that we've kind of looked at some of the traits, what I did want to do is talk about, since I know, okay, there's a lot of people here with the addiction side, but there's also a lot of people with trauma. And making that connection, honestly, to me, for me to understand something and get better at something, I have to understand how it works. That's why I kind of do what I'm doing right now and all. I have to understand the steps, how this affects this person or this affects me, things like that. So what I wanted to do was talk about a study that happened actually. Siren and his pessimistic butt. There you go. There you go. Talk to that pessimistic butt. Exactly. So, there was a study a little while back, okay, called the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. Okay, basically it was conducted by Kaiser Permanente and the CDC. And what they were trying to do was look at how different types of childhood trauma affect a person's adult behavior. I don't know about you, but I can tell you for me, what my past was as a child, okay, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything has turned me into who I am today. And for me to address the bad and the ugly part of it, I have to understand how my childhood affected that part of me. So I can't just say, oh, my life started at this age and I'm going to forget no. And I also had a wonderful childhood in the same part. Okay, the negative parts of my childhood don't equate to my whole childhood by any means. Okay, I had an amazing childhood. I just had some shitty things happen at the same time. And so the results of this study, you know about Kaiser and childhood. Okay, it's interesting. I want to read the whole. I haven't read the whole study. I've just read bits and pieces, and I need to read much further into it because it sounds actually really fascinating. So the results found that there were strong, sorry, puppy wants back up. There were strong links between childhood trauma, hello, I love you, and adult depression, anxiety, addiction, and relationship difficulties. Duh. That's all I can say. Anyone who's been through any of the things as a child would be able to say, yeah, I could see that. I could see. I mean, you don't even have to have been through trauma to realize that it's going to affect things as you get older. Okay, I promised Rosaline the discussion about domestication. You come from a household, okay, where children were treated a certain way, or if you came from a situation that things happen in a certain way, it's going to affect how you respond to other people. Jill just mentioned she works at a school, and we had workshops on adverse childhood trauma. I'm happy they're doing things like that. I really am. I mean, I think it's something that needs to be discussed more and more, because a lot of times we've never really looked at what is happening outside of school. And I think it's happening more now because we're realizing the connections. And also, basically, domestication, things like that, what we're going through is that as children, we use our surroundings, events, whatever happens, as a way to develop our understanding of the world. And also, as a child, if you're 3 years old and you have certain things, those of you in chat, if you find yourself getting nervous, okay, take care of yourself. Remember to always use your toolbox, okay, and things like that. Do whatever you need to for yourself. And because taking care of ourselves is the most important. Here she goes. Yes, I didn't realize how bad your uncle experiences were until my counselor had me say what? Yes. Speaking words, putting things into words out loud. Wow. Yeah, that is, there's a reason why it's hard for women who've dealt with SA, for example, to actually say the word. I mean, I still, saying that word is one of the hardest things in my life to say. And I'm the one who sits here and says, I believe, okay, words, yeah, words do have power. Okay, but at the same point, we can take the power away from the word and turn it just into a word and take our power back that way. And that's why I don't hide from words. And I know a lot of people do, but I don't, usually. And also, as children, so we develop these understandings. If you have, for example, the type of family that my family was, the type we ate at the dinner table and we talked story and we watched TV and we watched the news all the time, and my parents would be asking us what we thought about the news and stuff like that. We talked. We grabbed food off the table, things like that. I went to my grandmother's house once, and I remember, okay, there were times it's like, oh, no, 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 you're not, okay, you weren't spoken to first. You got to speak first. You don't go just grab what you want. You have to ask for it. That's domestication, how you're going to real. Oh, yeah, no, butterfly, you can always chill wherever. Just take care of yourself, okay? You know where your limits are and your boundaries, my dear. And you're always welcome here, my dear. So a child who is abused at home, for example, okay, and we see this, unfortunately, okay, talking true crime, missing children, things like that in the past. We've had this pop up multiple times recently where a child who's going through a lot like that at home, okay, may not speak up publicly because they don't want to be separated from their siblings, or they don't want their loved one to go, their mom or their dad to go to jail. We've seen this recently where, for example, in the West family, okay, where some of the older children there did not want to speak up at first because of these fears. This is normal. These are normal things that came out of this study that we've able to pull together. So if as a child you're going through that, hey, Canine, love you, my dear. I think a lot of how you handle emotions depends on the generation you grew up in. Yes, we're gonna. You're reading my mind, girl. You're reading my mind. And quite a few things on emotions. In fact, I did not add that one on, but yes, remind me about that one. So if you don't want to be separated from your siblings, things like that, you may never speak up. You may be in school and never speak up or anything because, you know what? You've been told you're going to be pulled away from your family, things like that, or you've been told, don't say anything. But what happens next? Robbie, I love you. Love you, I love you. And also, that child who does not speak up, starts looking for other ways to deal with that bit of news. Okay. And that could be so many different things. It could be going into the addiction realm where, okay, they get into 7th grade, 8th grade, and they realize, you know what, I can't say anything about what's happening at home or something like that. But if I drink this beer or whatever, then I don't feel as bad. Okay, everything goes numb and I don't need to worry about it. So they do that once or twice. And next thing you know, over the years, it becomes how they self-medicate. That's how self-medication works, is you start with it and you continue on, and it then becomes that addiction. So that tie, you start seeing that tie between trauma, childhood PTSD, trauma, things like that, and, okay, addiction. Okay, even if something didn't happen as a child, but you don't know how, maybe you go off to war and you're serving in our military and you come back, you don't know how to process all these emotions. So you go to self-medicating. And it comes down to that emotions. How do you handle the emotions that are coming with whatever is going on? And like was just mentioned in chat, which was wonderful. Okay, K9 said, okay, the generation you grow up in makes a difference. Okay, there's a lot of differences that come with different ages. Why is it so hard to find thumbs up button on it? Amen, amen, amen. And another area that is very connected is gender expectations. Okay, and I think this is where especially we're seeing a difference in the difference in generations, because I think the gender expectations here are also changing over the last generation or two. Our culture in general has always equated emotions with femininity. Okay, your girls were the ones who were taught it was okay to have emotions, to cry, to things like that. Okay, and each generation has kind of changed. Okay, but it was not that far back when a young boy was told, you got to be strong. If they started crying in front of mom or dad, okay, they get in trouble for crying. They were never given those skills to be able to handle this. And some of them learned them on their own. They learned it through other ways, but some people truly, they did not know how to handle it. And figuring out how, especially I think where this affected things is going into the military. If you were never given those skills to deal with the emotions that were coming at you, okay, you go off to war, something happens, and you have to process that. You never really learned how to deal with it because you couldn't talk about it. I myself have family members who went off to war, okay, Vietnam era, and they were told they weren't, okay, growing up, you never talked about your emotions or anything like that. And also when they came back, they couldn't talk about the emotions of what that came around with what they saw. So they deal with other things. Christola said, that's why my kids know they can come talk to me and talk about anything, and they do. That's a little too much. Yeah, that's my mom and me. And she's like, no, I want you to come to me for anything. And I think that's very tied with generations. We have a generation that started, okay, trying to be better about that with the next generation, and it's progressing at this point. And there was a time actually before that that even little girls were told they weren't supposed to cry or anything like that. Very generation. So K9 had a great point there. Okay, so developing it. Okay, so we're kind of seeing what emotional sobriety is. Okay, how to recognize it in our life, things like that. One thing I wanted to make sure was clear is that emotional sobriety is not being happy 24/7. Guys, we're not going to be happy 24/7. Okay, we're going to have shitty days. Okay, things are going to happen that don't make us happy. Okay, something's going to happen at work. Okay, the kids are going to come home and tear up the house. My dogs are going to decide to poop and pee everywhere, and I'm going to have to clean it up. We're going to have bad days. Okay, it happens. Being emotionally sober does not mean that you're going to be happy the rest of your life. Okay, it's again about being comfortable, being present with the feelings that you have. And like, yay, Siren found the thumbs up. Siren found the thumbs up. Thank you, Siren. And it's about not letting just one feeling take over completely. It's about how when you get pissed off that something happens, that you are able to feel the emotion, okay, respect the emotion, okay, give the emotion the space it needs, but not let the emotion run you over. And that's the hard part for a lot of us, okay, and at different levels. There's certain times that I'm totally emotionally sober using these things very, very much. And I've gotten more and more as I've gotten older, but I've had times, okay, some of you guys here and here, I can guarantee you have seen me when I was not emotionally sober, where I was flipping out and everything, where the emotion took over completely. That's what we're talking about. That is where we have to learn the skills to deal with it. So the first thing we really have to do is look at things we can do to kind of take control back from the emotions. So number one is avoiding the triggers. Okay, we all talk about being triggered. We all talk about, okay, getting mad, getting upset, seeing things that set us off, whatever it is. And we can't prevent all triggers from happening. Some triggers are going to happen. Someone's going to come to you saying something that's going to trigger you. You can't always prevent the triggers, but you can try. Okay, especially while you are working towards this. Okay, you know your level, and that actually, what triggers you changes over the years. Okay, what triggered me back in my 20s, okay, versus now in my 50s is a huge difference. If half the stuff that I dealt with today had happened back in my 20s, I would have been curled up in a little ball. And my triggers have changed, but I still have them. And so the first thing I would say, which avoiding those triggers, is stay away from experiences which bring on those high emotions. So going back to those links that Rosalind gave us that I'm going to put into Discord, I'll make sure they're in there. If someone else hasn't beat me to it, I will make sure they're in there. If you see those +3s or the -3s, try to stay away from those. Okay, doesn't mean you don't live those. You want to live passionate and stuff like that. But if you're in that place where you know, okay, you are still really heavily working on emotional sobriety, you're not going to want to be living your whole life at +3. You want to be coming closer to 0 or a plus or -1 or stuff like that. Those +3s and -3s take a lot more to handle on that even keel. And Crystalla, yep, 52, 52, 52. Yeah, 52. Yeah, that's what I am. I don't know how old I am anymore. See, that's called age, ain't it? Yep. Some other things you might want to stay away from that trigger. I talked to you already about how they say in AA dating, things like that. Which always amazed me, because what's the first thing that you find people do when they're in AA? They start, okay, using it as a way to meet people that they have common interests in, and then it becomes like, don't even get me started on that one, but you do see that quite often. This one, stay away from experiences or people that are high conflict. If you know someone who is high conflict that is going to trigger the freaking hell out of you, stay the fuck away from them. Excuse me for cursing. Okay, you, again, I've said this many times to myself. Okay, yep, that they do, Siren. And I've said multiple times to myself, I can't control what other people do. They're going to be themselves no matter what. But I can control my response, my reaction. And so stay away from high conflict people. Stay away from high conflict situations. I know a lot of you guys have started learning this lesson. I'm learning it right now. When I am in a less secure place in my emotions, I do not need to be near YouTube drama, okay? Because I'm going to go nuts, okay? If I am in a place where I'm going to be triggered by the +3 emotions or the -3 emotions, sitting on YouTube, watching drama, being around people that are going to trigger you, things like that, I'm not doing myself any help by doing that whatsoever, because I'm living my life at +3 or -3. And yeah, exactly. I live in a bank vault. Don't you know that, Siren? And that's been the hardest lesson for me. And I'm still not completely there because of the FOMO side. It's hard to pull away from those things and not have FOMO of, oh my God, what am I going to miss? The fear of missing out and stuff like that. But as you start learning that, you start realizing, you know what? I'm missing out on a lot by not doing it. Okay, you don't have to sit yourself down. Okay, we talk about here, in fact, I think it was on Robbie's. I was watching Robbie's right before my live this morning. I was watching it, and he was talking about reading comments, okay, that are negative about you and stuff like that. And you just come to the point where you're like, you know what? Why am I doing this to myself? It's just their whatever. They can believe opinion, whatever they want. And so stay away. And that's the difference where you find yourself. Where are you currently? Okay, for example, with me, I've had times where people will talk about me or something on YouTube, and I have to figure out, can I handle this right now or can I not? If I can handle it, then read. But if I can realize this isn't helping me right now, then I need to kind of step away from a while, focus on myself. Stay away from those things that are going to bring on those high emotions that I can't handle right now. And next is actively work on developing more self-awareness. Okay. We talked about emotional intelligence a few minutes ago. Okay. What can you do to be more self-aware? Because that's going to allow you to get to the +2s and the -2s, or the +3s and the -3s. Crystal, cat jumped on your bed. Oh my God, so cute. And thank God mine are asleep now. So you can practice self-reflection by keeping a journal. You don't have to write. If you don't want to write the journal, don't write the journal. But maybe every night before you go to bed, kind of self-reflect. How did you handle the emotions that popped up today? Okay, were there any situations that kind of pushed you too far? Okay, how could you have handled those differently? How could you have caught it when it was at a level 5 before it reached a level 9 or 10? And so just kind of think those things through. Write if you want to. Just think to yourself if that's all you want to do. Different things. Ask for feedback from trusted friends. Okay, part of self-awareness and emotional intelligence is truly understanding where your what you are thinking and doing. And sometimes it takes someone on the outside to kind of tell you, you know, I love you, but do you realize what you're doing to yourself right now? And it's that hard love that can teach us a lot. Okay, so be ready to be vulnerable, but ask those loved ones that you trust. You're not going to go to an asshole that you know is going to jump down your back about it, but you're going to go to someone that you know loves you, cares about you, okay, but is willing to be open with you and help let you see what you may not be able to see yet, because it truly does help there. Find healthy coping mechanisms. Like I said, life is shit. Stuff's going to happen. Crystal, I'll tell you. Yeah, I will tell you. If people want to hear, I will tell, because I'm very lucky that I have a couple really good friends who will tell me what they think I am having issues with. And they're very open with me when I ask them for that help. So I try to do that for others when they want it. So find those healthy coping mechanisms. Okay, this could be anything from physical activity, exercise, things like that, a creative outlook. JP came in earlier and talked about music. That's a creative outlook. Using music to write stuff and everything and get your emotions out that way. Writing poetry. Okay, I found Hobbies. I'm sitting here doing all sorts of, okay, diamond painting, which then turned into a financial thing for myself. Okay, you can do all sorts of stuff. Find ways to give you an outlet for that emotions, because emotions equate to energy. No matter what that emotion is, there's some sort of output of energy. Okay, when you get angry, there's energy building up inside of you. How can you get that energy out in a healthy way? Next, finding a strong support system. Guys, support systems are key, but you have to really understand that support system and what happens within it. Okay, it could be a support system, a group. Okay, an AA, an NA, a group that deals with people who've been through abuse or things like that. Okay, create healthy friendships. Now, guys, healthy friendships. The key word there being healthy. Okay, a friendship is not one way. Okay, a friendship may be one way for short periods of time, but then it switches and goes the other. Okay, I remember people telling me, oh, you're always there for me, but I'm like, no, you're there for me. It's just not right now. Right now, you need me there for you, but you know what? There's going to be times that you're there for me. And that's where it goes back and forth. It's also not always unloading on your friend, okay, but being able to have that open feeling. Okay, it's not a codependent relationship. It's important to know that there are those differences there. Get therapy. Look at therapy, counseling, things like that. Okay, we've talked about these, and that's why I'm zooming through this part, because we're also coming up on the hour here. But look at things such as private counseling. Do you do well with one-on-one type counseling to deal with these emotions, especially if it's CPTSD related? Childhood, okay, PTSD, you need to have that ability to talk with someone who knows what they're doing. And there are many ways you can go out there and do that. Also, group therapy. Having support groups and stuff are very, very helpful. Christola said groups of 3 or 4 friends that are always there, love them very much. Y'all bitches know, yeah. And we know our group. We know our group. And we know that they're there for us and we're there for them. And that's what it comes down to. And you know, no matter what, they'll always be there for you. So definitely, Christola. Look at different types of therapy. Research what works best for you. Just because Joe Blow over there goes and gets CBT does not mean it's going to work for you. Find what works for you. Research. We got this great thing called the internet. It's good for more than just drama, guys. Research what is out there. Okay, are there other things? Okay, CBT, DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. Okay, trauma-informed, okay, therapy, EMDR. So many different things that are out there. You don't have to just go to your first therapist and do whatever they suggest to you, because chances are you know yourself better than they do. So try to figure out what's out there and then go to your therapist and say, you know what, I heard about this as a possibility. Do you think it'd work for me? Can we try this? And if they don't know how to, then go for it. And also, butterfly kisses, I'll send you something. You know, hun, if you need to call 988, please call 988, okay? And because we need to take care. Step back if you need to. Know your boundaries. And when you need to be there, my dear, please. And I will be there for you after. I'll send you a message and all, but please take care of yourself. And so when we have these things, emotional sobriety is important. We're all at different levels, okay, and different places in that walk. And it's hard trying to figure out, and sometimes you move forward and sometimes you move back, but recognizing those things really, really makes a difference. And oh, you got it? Okay. You know what? I didn't see anything from you. I just looked, and yeah, send me whatever you've got. I don't see anything there from you. And also, but yeah, so checking those things out, trying to figure out what you can do, remembering being emotionally sober does not mean everything's all happy-go-lucky and all. So take care of yourself, knowing what you need to do for yourself. Okay, because other people can't do that. If you need to call 988, like we were just saying, we know where we are and we need to take care of ourselves. Okay, so with that, let me check where we are. Takeaway for today, because we will be going into Cantina in just about an hour. And also, what about takeaways for you guys? I know this was a big one, really important big one for I think a lot of us. I know for me it turned out to be, I really got to thank DC for bringing up the subject because I learned a lot from it. And also, yeah, I learned a lot from it and I'm really happy I actually looked at it. I know for me, it's that connection. My takeaway was this honestly can be for anyone because I think all of us have times that we aren't necessarily emotionally sober, where the emotions run with us and we need to learn how to pull them back in. And that's been one of my biggest takeaways from this is that there's a lot of times that we can, it's kind of like I tell my mom all the time, you guys know she had ovarian cancer and there's a lot of times she kind of feels a little left out because breast cancer gets all the focus, okay, on the internet or on TV or stuff. And she's like, there's all of us who have another type of cancer, ovarian cancer out here that's very much related. And she feels left out at times. It's kind of like this thing. I tell her all the time, but you know what? It's the research on breast cancer that's giving you treatments for ovarian cancer. So even though you may feel like the smaller sister, they still help each other. And that's how kind of like emotional sobriety became for me. I saw something that was addiction related, but in reality, something that came out of this other area truly helps those of us who may not necessarily see ourselves in that area. So Cristola's takeaway is, new comments. Let me go down here real quickly. Takeaway, try and control the emotions. Don't let them control you. And that's the fun one. Because it's easy. It's very easy when our emotions happen. We focus in on, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this. This is all going on and all. And that's when we start ramping up. So how do you kind of, oh, okay, this happened. How am I going to deal with this? Okay, we got this. I'm good. I'm okay. Okay, I don't have to be as angry as I'm starting to feel now, or I don't have to be as scared as I'm feeling right now because I'm okay. It's going to be okay. And moving forward at that. So thank you. And Jill, thank you so much. Thank you. And guys, seriously, subjects. Doing this once a week, there are so many times I'm like, what's a good subject I could talk about? And I never would have come up with this. So if anyone has ideas of subjects, please let me know. They don't have to necessarily be something I deal with. If it's something that you guys are interested in, let's research it together. Let's figure out what we can do with it. So, and also thank you guys so much. We will be doing Discord. Members, I am trying to figure out what to do for us for a members thing, maybe pull together a members live coming up soon. If you guys have ideas, okay, please let me know. And but thank you guys, members, so much. I really do appreciate you. Please hit the thumbs up on this game. Okay, this was something that I think could help a lot of people, and getting the information out to other people. Hopefully we can touch some other lives, and it'll hit the right person. So thank you guys so much. I did set this up where it's going to send you guys straight over to Cantina afterwards. So if you just leave this window open, you will be ready for Cantina. Yes, Cristola is right. Join Discord. And we have not only missing people areas and talk story areas and music and crafts and all that, but we also have a whole section of folders for mental health. Okay, again, this is a place for us to come. If you have things you want to work on, you can work on them there. And it's a place for us to work towards becoming survivors over what other issues we have. Love you, butterfly. You're good. You're good, my dear. And type out things, write out emotions and stuff like that, because that's the whole emotional sobriety, trying to come up with ways to deal with the emotions as they come in like that. I love, Jill, that they do meetings and all that, because we do find out a lot of things, and sometimes we're not looking at things because we don't want to feel them ourselves. So hopefully I'll see you guys over in Cantina in 50 minutes. I'm going to try to grab myself a drink or something. I mean, I literally have no coffee left, 3/4 of a, what is that, Coke Zero, and all of my iced tea. This is what I need to be drinking. So anyhow, I will see you guys soon. Love y'all. Aloha. Mahalo. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.